grew up here in the wine industry. I saw a lot of wineries fail where they looked heavily into the production first and not so much of a brand and the purpose of why we're making wine and for consumers first. And so, you know, we started with the design, the brand, the concept, the wine, the price points all first. And then we kind of felt that the back end production, partners, vineyard sourcing, grape contracts was the secondary market to where we could then fill the brands that we wanted to build. You know, my partner Bill and myself, co-founders, we both came from different parts of working for others as a service industry. He was a designer helping build other brands. And I used to be a CPA where I was servicing other clients. And we felt that in the wine industry, we could create a voice by creating brands that were consumer friendly, and that this would be our childs to the world. So we were basically creating these brands and giving daylight to them. And so it was kind of this story of sometimes great wines get stuck in the cellar. They never get to see the light of day. And so that's why we wanted to help, you know, bring great wines to daylight.
So in 2017, I came on board with these guys. I met the other partner that's not here today, Bill, through a class at Sonoma State it was an entrepreneur in winemaking. And we formed a relationship, and I've been making wine for a while for a few brands over in Napa, the other side of the hill, and but living here in Sebastopol. And so we met, had a great relationship. We really got along well with each other. And he said, you know what, you should really meet the other partner, Andy. And we had beers at the Hot Monk Tavern, and the rest is history. So they were looking for somebody to help kind of guide really the winemaking production side of it all. You know, find these locations, source these grapes, have a really strong foothold of here in Sonoma County, and then maybe could source out towards like Alexander Valley, Sonoma Coast, you know, and things like that really had his finger on the pulse. And lucky enough, that was me. And I think we fit pretty well together. For me, it's all relationships. I know a lot of the growers that are around the Russian River Valley, and then if I can't find what I want, then I ask. It's how you do anything, friends of friends, and that's how I do it. So if I go to somebody that said, hey, you know, we're looking for 20 tons of some Russian River Chardonnay, and they said, listen, not this year, but we could definitely get you on board for next year. However, you know, not to use my own name, but Bob down the road happens to have 20 tons available, and then we can pick it up that way. But it's a nice, easy relationship. You know, once you get into it, then you can kind of see how that vineyard site really works for not only the wine and the style, but if it's a good partnership as far as grower and purchaser and or winemaker. And so then that way you can kind of lock in your signature style or region and things like that for that. It's funny, I have one old handshake that people still are kind of shaking their heads that there's still actually handshake deals out there. But Nick Laris, I've been making wine off of his property for years, and he's still salt of the earth. His word is his bond kind of guy, and it's a handshake every year. I come up and go, Nick, I need 20 tons of Pinot, and he says, what clones you want? And every harvest, they show up at the winery. Wow. And there's no, the only thing that I show them is, I guess, the weigh tag, so we bill each other correctly and we pay correctly. But no, it's still a handshake deal. And
I think he still uses probably like a half-cut pencil to write his like invoice. You know, one of those contractor pencils, right? That are like.
I've been doing business with Nick for so long. I was going back and looking at pictures that we had, and my son now is 12. There's a picture of him when he's 2, and he's sitting on the back of the grape truck, and he has a cinnamon roll in his hand, and so that's how long, you know, we've really been doing business together. And it's that trust and that strive for that quality, and you know what you're going to get every time. We try to get fruit off of what he calls God's little acre, and it does. It produces every year some of the best Pinot Noir that I've had out of the Russian River Valley.
In Chardonnay, Our top seller, I think we'll be known for Pinot Noir in the end of it in terms of how much we're selling. Bobby, I would say, is his forte is Pinot Noir. And, coming back to when he came on board, I think it was actually 2016 was my first vintage. In 2013 was 90 cases of Pinot Noir. And we were looking to bottle like 4,000 cases in 2016 or 2017. And that's when I don't have a formal, I was just blending in the warehouse and figuring stuff out, and figured we needed a professional, someone that had gone to school and obviously cut his teeth, and had a history doing this. And, Bobby's elevated our wine since then. Has been better at everything than I can do. But Ammunition Red Blend, which is kind of a Bordeaux blend with, we actually source some good Syrah, kind of from the Sonoma Mountains, Sonoma Valley area. And then we just started a new contract in Sonoma County with Cabernet. And we had historically been doing some Paso Robles in the past. So I would say those three are kind of our top sellers. The Red Blend, Cabernet, and Pinot are under our flagship brand called Ammunition. And we talk about vineyards all the time, the same way that you would talk about a chef's ingredients. And the best thing, you talk about farm to table is where is it sourced from, where are the grapes? And I think it's very interesting in this industry, people still say, you make wine, where are your vineyards? But when you make whiskey, no one's saying, where are your cornfields? And it's this unique tie that we have to the growing of these grapes. And so we say great wine starts in the vineyard. Grapes are the ammunition to make great wine. And that's how we came up with the Ammunition name. And, I think the big thing with the way Bobby fit in so well is he's actually a Texas boy. And so he came in and felt the Americana nature of our brands. And then his little addition is him and his wife created a brand called Screen Door Cellars. And it's a higher end Russian River, this estate that we're on today, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And, that's kind of elevating our winemaking with him at the helm here. So.
Dallas area. Went to school. Dallas area. Went to school at Texas Tech University out in Lubbock. It's not the end of the world, but you can see it from there.
You said that before.
It's the plains. It's flatland for sure.
Go Buddy Holly.
But exactly, and that's actually, it's funny how you said that. I started in the restaurant industry there with a little bar called Crickets.
Oh, cool.
And they got big. We went down to Waco, opened up a couple restaurants down there, and had a friend that lived out in Northern California, and decided to come out here for a summer and just to take a break from the restaurant industry and see what, California life is all about. Being a Texas boy, you kind of get everybody's surfing and there's palm trees everywhere. And I came out here for a summer, and as I've said it to everybody else, it's been one long summer. I just didn't ever go back. I went back long enough to sell a couple cars and a sailboat, and packed everything I had in a Jeep and a cardboard box and drove out here. It's not a bad place to land. But no, as far as wine industry goes, through a friend's connection, I met my wife that was getting her master's degree at UC Davis. I'd never thought about winemaking before. I know beer and barbecue, and that was about it. But she was getting her master's degree, and she worked at Cakebread for a vintage. Nice. And I got a job at Behringer, working just in the lab as a lab tech, entry-level harvest. Sure. But completely fell in love with it. I mean, everything about it, just the excitement of it all. I don't know if it was the winemaking background of it, or I woke up every morning at 4 o'clock and checked all these tanks with an ex-Vietnam helicopter pilot that had more fire and energy at his age that I would ever hope to have in my life. But it was insane, and we loved it. And not to date myself, but we were still checking it with glass, hydrometers and cylinders and everything. And so it was that, BV being that big, we were still doing it, all hand. And so, again, fell in love with it. Got a job full-time working at St. Clement when Aaron Pott was running the show there. Yeah, nice. And he just kind of mentored me, and it just kind of took me under his wing. I got there early in the morning, tasted some tanks with him, and then during harvest. And then it wasn't until the great Tom Rinaldi hired me at Provenance, that I went back to UC Davis and got what they call the winemaking certificate. I was one of the first people that went through that program, and just kind of gave me the book learning back behind what I've been doing, for years before that, dragging hoses and tasting tanks and learning the production side of it all. And then after that, just was a winemaker for a winery over in Napa in Calistoga. And then we moved over here to where people really make great wine, Sonoma County.
DaylightWineandSpirits.com. You can follow us on the Instagram at Drink Ammunition. And that's how you get a hold of us.